Plymouth city centre was the scene of what some called a chainsaw massacre last night. It used to be a band of green along Armada Way, but last night after dark, much to the dismay of local protesters, tree felling began as part of the City Council's regeneration plan. Contractors were forced to stop work to cut down more than 100 trees after a High Court injunction was issued to them. But as Joanna Carr reports, by that time the majority of the trees had been destroyed.
The scale and timing of the operation in Plymouth city centre on Tuesday night came as a surprise to many. The first signs were the cordoning off of the city centre. Commuters found their usual routes home blocked. And then came the arrival of large machinery and plant. The aim? To cut down more than 129 trees.
Look, come on, I'm gutted. I don't want to be here, I want to be somewhere else. This thing needs to be witnessed. We're witnessing it, you're witnessing it. I hope that the people who are putting this operation through, in the dark, under the cover of darkness, they're not here, they're not watching. They're at home, comfortable, thank you very much.
The buzz of a chainsaw, the crash of wood as it splinters and falls. These are the sounds of the first trees being felled here in Plymouth city centre tonight.
About an hour ago, I think the council updated the website. They've always said as soon as they release the finalised plan, they'll crack on with the work, and they weren't lying, were they? What time is it now? About
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. I mean, they're clearly planning on cutting down a lot of trees this evening. They claim to have consulted with the people of Plymouth. They've asked us, we've told them what we think, and they've completely disregarded it. Now they've turned up in the middle of the night to cut down our trees, much-loved trees.
The felling is part of multi-million-pound plans to regenerate Armada Way. The controversial scheme had been paused in February to allow for further consultation, but when work restarted last night, it was with no notice, according to campaigners.
I heard on the local news at about 10:30 tonight, and so came straight down here to see what was going on. These trees down the side are hugely significant as part of the post-war legacy. They were planted as part of that, and they're enormously significant to Plymouth and what it means for the regeneration of the Plymouth, the resurgence of the city.
The smell of sawdust filled the air. Security, police officers and protesters watched on as rapid progress was made. And then, out of the darkness, a reprieve for the campaigners.
We're serving this to you and to Plymouth City Council. Sorry? If you cut any more trees down, it will be a criminal offence.
Yeah. Instructions.
Do you have anything to say? Do you have anything to say to the people of Plymouth? I've just run about half a mile with an injunction in my hand.
And what is that injunction?
To cease the felling. It's been signed by a judge. If they cut down any more trees now, it's a criminal offence.
Plymouth City Council says it's obtaining legal advice on the injunction, and that given the size of the tree machinery, it had scheduled the works to be carried out at night, with as few people around as possible for reasons of public safety. We aimed to minimise the disruption caused to the public and businesses by cordoning off parts of Armada Way, the local authority added.
Sadly, we've lost a lot of our trees, but there are some still remaining.
It's hard to feel elated, but it's a little win.
For the campaigners, a bittersweet victory after a night of sadness and despair. All but 16 of the trees due to be felled were cut down. Now they hope to permanently save the remaining few. Joanna Carr, BBC Spotlight, Plymouth.
Well, as daylight came, we sent our political reporter Ewan Murray to the centre of Plymouth to follow the reactions to last night's events.
The morning after what one councillor called the Plymouth Chainsaw Massacre, it's believed that more than 100 trees were felled in the space of just a few hours last night.
I'm absolutely disgusted that they've knocked them all down, especially if they've done them overnight when nobody's around to complain.
What's Plymouth doing? Is it turning into a concrete jungle all this long? All these boarded things, why didn't they do that before starting messing about with this if they're going to take the trees down?
It was a very unique area.
Yeah.
Because it was semi-wild in the middle of town, and it's actually beautiful, and it's gone.
Really disappointing and upsetting to see this morning.
And the Conservative council leader's decision to press ahead with the felling, it came suddenly yesterday, leaving campaigners with little time to try and stop the chop.
it's indefensible, really, isn't it? It was shocking the way it happened last night. All those people, all the security and the police. I don't think anyone expected that. It was unbelievable.
The council says it's obtaining legal advice, but insists the revamped regeneration plans include environmental improvements, as well as nearly 170 new trees. But the results of a public survey it published yesterday demonstrate what it called overwhelming objections to its plans. Nobody from the minority Conservative administration was available for interview, while Plymouth Labour, which also didn't give an interview, said it had no control and little influence over the decision. Councillors from smaller parties say they disagree.
The Conservatives and Labour accountable, because from my opinion, it looks like they're working together, to be honest. But I do believe that Councillor Tudor Evans should have took control of the council, and he should have put a stop to this for the moment and put it out to a better consultation, not just a meaningful one that went round the Marby bush.
With all these beloved trees piled high, campaigners say there's no good outcome for them anymore. What they are doing, though, is continuing to seek legal advice as they try to save the very few trees which are still remaining. Ewan Murray, BBC Spotlight, Plymouth.
We'll hear some of your reactions in a moment, but in a statement, the Labour group at Plymouth City Council said it was a completely false assertion that they worked with the Tories in any way on this issue, or that they could have taken control of the council to prevent it. They say this is a Conservative decision over which Plymouth Labour had no control. We successfully used what levers we had to try to secure proper public engagement, including on the natural environment. But ultimately, the decision to remove these trees sits with the Conservative administration. Well, lots of your reaction coming into this story today, and on social media and on emails. Firstly, though, wildlife presenter and naturalist Chris Packham took to Twitter today to say, what the actual Plymouth City Council, what is the matter with you? What do you not understand? Despicable vandalism. Andy also emailed to say, utterly disgusting in this day and age. Armada Way was created after the destruction of the city in World War II. How quickly we forget. The plans say they intend to replace the trees with even more. I think that's pointless. Why not add more trees to the existing ones? The purchase, transport and planting of semi-mature trees will be enormously expensive. Thank you for those comments, Andy. And Janet's email is in a very similar vein. We are absolutely sickened by the total devastation of Armada Way and the environmental destruction that took place under the cover of darkness last night against the will of thousands of people. What hope is there for this beautiful planet of ours if we can't even cherish and care for our own local area? So sad and angry. Well, thank you for all of your emails. And if you'd like to comment, whatever your views, the address as usual is spotlight@bbc.co.uk.